auspicious blessings for the future ahead. And he asked us to do a Jivartha Sadhas and Vakyartha Sadhas on what has happened to us in the last 6 months. How this pralay in the last 6 months from Shivaratri to today has impacted how many things that we thought were important in our life have become meaningless. How the world has been melting down in front of our eyes, and how the new life can be built, and how superconscious life can be built. We have started this Jivartha Sadhas from yesterday and had beautiful points about individuals sharing about how they experienced changes within themselves and changes in the world around them as the pralaya had manifested in the world. When we do Jivartha Sadhas, we do the process of practicing whatever it is that we do manana with. Manana is the part of cognition where we internalize what the teachings are. In the Satsangs, we do the Shravana, listening to the Guru, listening to his teachings in pure Upanishad. And then Manana happens in the Vakyartha Sadhas, taking the words of the Guru and literally chewing on them and digesting them and making them a part of us. And then Jivartha Sadhas is the conversations that we have with others, where those become different ways of looking at it. Many people digest the words in different ways. And we get to see, and we have an opportunity to see other people around us contribute their way of understanding Swamiji's teachings, because it touches us in our own personal way. Bhagavan is the avatar just because he's able to give everybody the experience uniquely, a unique experience for each person. Swamiji once has told that an incarnation is not judged by the greatness of what he can do, but the level at which the incarnation can be judged not by the great things that he can do, but an incarnation should be judged by how much he can incarnate, how much he can give and cater to the individual, to the soul of the individual, and how he is able to give a unique teaching for everyone. So the Jivartha Sadhas is an opportunity for everyone to listen to other people and how Swamiji manifested in them through his words, and how he has given them the knowledge and the clarity in their lives. So for everyone, it is a unique experience sitting in the satsang with Swamiji, and the Jivartha Sadhas is the space where that unique experience can be shared with others, and deeper expansion and understanding can happen. Because when you listen to yourself and listen to your own thoughts, it is the recurring thoughts for your own patterns, but others may have similar patterns, but they don't cognize them in the similar way. So when we take Swamiji's teachings and attend to those patterns or those recurring problems, the application of his words is taken in very different ways at different frequencies for different people. So when we listen to others, we can understand how much more intense we can become in our seeking, and how much more depth we can have with our own way of listening to Swamiji. So Jivartha Sadhas is a beautiful space and a beautiful time for us to come together and have the listening for each other and understand Swamiji's words in different ways and in a deeper way for ourselves. So with this, I would like to introduce and welcome our panelists and our Sangha brothers who are here to do the Jivartha Sadhas with us. We have Shri Ashtosha, Shri Jnanatma, Shri Reneshan here with us. Welcome, Nithyananda. Would like to have you all introduce yourselves before we start the Jivartha Sadhas today. Go ahead, Shri Ashtosha.
Yes, Nithyananda. So again, very happy to be here for tonight's Vakyartha Sadhas. And my name is Shri Nithya Ashitoshananda. I am Canadian from French origins, and I've met Swamiji in 2014. I'm seeking to go beyond suffering. Actually, I moved from a very passionate interest in martial arts, and through martial arts discovering Buddhism, and through Buddhism discovering Indian masters such as Osho Ramana Maharshi, and and other Indian masters, and all that led me to discovering Swamiji. And when I discovered Swamiji,
Nithyanandam, and welcome. And nice to get a refresh on how you came. And now I understand how Sri Ashutosh has a beautiful yoga angle to many things. And when it comes to yoga, we can always go to him on how to um, take care of our body and have a beautiful yogic body so we can attend and listen to Swamiji Satsangs. So next we have Sri Jnanatma. Go ahead, Aya. Thank you, Sri Jnanatma. And it's nice to see that Gita actually rung in your ears. Um, Many people actually find Gita, and it's sweet to see that Gita still stands as one of the most relevant and modern way of looking at Hinduism. So thank you. Uh, Go ahead, Aya. Rena Shan Aya. You can introduce yourself. Thanks, Aya. And you're seeking, definitely you've added to the topic of everybody's actually telling how they found Swamiji, and through their seeking from a yoga angle, from a university angle, and you from a just looking all around the world and finding the meaning. And we have also Shri Murli Aya. Aya, go ahead, introduce yourself. Nityananda, thank you for sharing your unique experience coming to Swamiji. And just like how Murli said, actually, he had a unique experience coming to Swamiji by being told to come to Swamiji by your brother. And same way, we all have had somebody take us along and hold our hand and bring us to Swamiji. And we're in gratitude to them, and or in that space of friendliness, we appreciate that kind of a presence, a person who is again and again aligning us to the teachings of Swamiji, aligning us to have a deeper and deeper connection with Swamiji, to understand Swamiji in a different way, and to really hold Swamiji as the center, spindle of our lives. So let us get into the discussion. And the question that I wanted to start with is, yesterday we had discussed more about how the pralaya had been for us, how we experienced a change in our lives. Today we can go to the second part of this question that Swamiji has asked. about how the world was melting in front of our eyes and how, this is the part that we need to work on, how the new life can be built. So the new life can be built. How we are going to take what we know from yesterday, from the whole last year of Pralay, and how we're going to make decisions for a new life. And yesterday, I actually was thinking, so yesterday I was thinking how the world is actually reacting to the whole Pralay, and how people are trying to, how they're actually able to live with themselves. And I looked online for a little bit of research about how people are experiencing Pralay when it comes to graduation, students in their college, or people living at home. How do they spend their day? It seems like they had an encounter with tremendous peace and tremendous silence, which many people had different reactions to. Some people were experiencing anxiety and suffering. Some people were realizing there's just so much to do. There's so much to clean, and they were just unable. They were very restless and trying to keep their house continuously clean and continuously in a spick and span way, because they're restless. They have been always doing something, and suddenly when the lockdown happened, they are told to stay in one place and just be with themselves and be at home. And with that, the restlessness came in. So many people had found themselves out of things to do and always trying to create to-do lists, even sitting at their home. But one of the things that came about in the conversations that I was reading was the concept of loneliness and being alone and having to deal with yourself. That is the first thing that Swamiji gives in any of his teachings. He says, first you must give an appointment to yourself. So that, and this whole relay and the whole lockdown has made people have to do that, give that appointment to themselves, because there's nothing else to do. So in seeing that, many people have experienced themselves in a way that they would have never experienced in the running kind of life. Life before Pralaya was just running. And people are saying that just when the lockdown happened, it slowed down drastically, and I had to see myself for who I am. And some people didn't like it, and some people say they didn't know how to handle it. And an interesting thing that I was reading was that people found out that, especially when it came to sharing their experiences and emotions, male masculinity and all this had to come in place, because it's not very masculine in the world to apparently go through your emotions. When it comes to this, dealing with yourself becomes very hard, because as Swamiji says, seeking and looking and searching is a very feminine concept. Even in our temple, we have Nithyananda Ishwari, who represents the divine feminine, sitting on the lap of Nithyananda Ishwara as the disciple. So when somebody becomes a seeker, there is a certain feminineness, not female technically as for a gender, but a seeking happens, a passive kind of attitude happens. And this is something we all experience, and this is something that we all had, and it helped us to search more and find Swamiji and find the correct teachings and find the way to go about learning. So what I wanted to share here is, it looks like the Pralay had made people have to choose to fall into such a space, to fall into a space to look into themselves and start seeking, or start seeing and looking for answers. As Murli Ayya put, he was asking questions that he was not getting the answers to. But he was in a life situation, or what we call in the Agama, it beautifully says that the soul matures after many births over and over again, until it has saturated to the point of it is only seeking answers to its own existence, and then the Paramashiva manifests in its life as the form of the Guru. So how do we help when we want to build the world now? How do we help others bring more awareness to the fact that in the past 1 year, the whole corona has shed light on so many other things in life? Basically what I'm asking is, how do we help other people see and think through what has become meaningless in their life? And that enriching and that way of going about is going to help build, because building Kailasa is having more and more and more expansion and more connections. So have any of you in the panel talked to anyone or talked to others and find out how they are sharing about how their life is post pralay and inside pralay and then previous to pralay? So I would like to hand over. Anybody who wants to go ahead, you can start now. Go ahead. Yes. Yes, Rene Shanaya, go ahead.
Is it's the complete opposite. From my at least personal and like direct experience of engaging with Hindu youth, is they actually went through such a positive transformation during this pralaya. Some they'll do more physical exercise, some they'll start doing more puja, some they'll do basically the different life positive aspects of life that are available in their own home, because now they have basically the time to do it. They have the time where they can actually be themselves and actually be who they are, enjoy what they want to do, and try out different things that are always on the back burner. Always things that they see their parents do, or they see like some things happening and like, okay, you know what? I have this space now. I have this time now. Let me see what it's like. And it's actually like personally, I'm sharing the Sakshi Pramana of what I'm seeing from what was happening in the physically, the Hindu youth that I'm engaging with. It's such a powerful transformation. Like literally their nervous system turns into something else completely. And for them, they're just like, for them, they really feel like they're just really happy. They just feel life positive. They just feel happy about life and they feel happy with themselves. And they don't actually, like I can share personally, is they don't actually see the change that's happened in them until they look back at what life was like before pralaya. And so this is actually one key thing I wanted to share is how this Vata Varana of Hinduism had this, especially this Vata Varana with Swamiji, has a huge impact both on not just the Hindu youth, but overall. This is actually, this one thing I wanted to share, and how we can use this to contribute to actually everybody is being able to expand this Vata Varana, right? Like this Vata Varana is a space where we can have the space, have the time where we're able to explore ourselves in a safe way, where we know we're taken care of and we feel comfortable looking inside, knowing that if something happens, we have a solution for whatever it is, whether it's a worry, guilt, some sort of fear, some sort of incompletion, some sort of pattern. We're able to immediately identify what it is, how to address it, and if it comes back, how to continue to basically do the deeper and deeper completion. This Vata Varana that Swamiji gives us all the tools we need while we're exploring our inner space in a safe way. There's nothing risky. Swamiji makes the whole thing risk-free. And this is really what I'm seeing, especially with the Hindu youth, because this aspect of risk-free exploration is there. They're really able to explore themselves. They're really able to see their inner space. And I feel like this is something that we can really do to contribute to the world now that the pralaya is over, is really being able to open these life positive solutions, literally just making Kailasa is what? It's the one-stop shop for all things immediate and long-term. For all your immediate solutions and long-term solutions, Shri Kailasa is open, contributing everything. We are always giving the best of what we have. And so I feel like, especially now, is the best time to really commit to expanding Sri Kailasa in any way possible, whether it's contributing to different projects, or even just talking to people about when pre-satsang is happening, when satsang is happening. These small things, every little bit makes a huge difference. And so this is one thing I can really share from my experience about this.
Yes,
Thank
yeah.
you, Nithyananda.
Thank you. Actually, you're right. One point that you said clicked is that there's less risk now being in pralay time, because you're not risking time as far as having to go to school or having to go to work, because you're sitting alone. That risk is not there. And another thought that came to me as you were telling is that the youth are experiencing a time where they can now sit with themselves and engage in the things that they would put off, as you said, in the back burner. But actually, many people do this putting things off in the back burner until the age of 60. Until they are completely retired and lived a running life chasing something, with especially in the other religions that have one life understanding, they live and say you only live once, and so you have to run. So that running has come makes somebody into such a restlessness, but that by the age of 60, when their body is old, or no, even when they're older than that, when their body is not able to settle down and have and experience the silence and the peace and the satisfaction that you are waiting for all these 60 years, but the body is not ready to feel that. It is restless. It is not able to experience the actual peace that at that time. So one of the things that is gifted by this pralay is that people are able to see that which they would have put off for decades is something that now they can experience today. It's something that you can experience in a very fulfilling way today, and it gives you that time and space, and that's something that's actually a treasure. And Swamiji has again and again keeping on telling that the value in the future is only in that ability to be with yourself and that ability to search inside. So that actually is actually something that as Sri Kailasa we can give to the world and say, now you have an experience, a deep understanding about yourself, or facing the reality of yourself. Now what are you going to do with that? What are you going to take that forward with? How are you going to move forward with that? So that's one point I wanted to add as a plus point for how this whole pralay has changed our lives. Anybody else? Sri Murli, you actually wanted to say something.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yes, I did want to share, but in fact, this would have been better, I think, if I had said this before what Radhishan had said, because it is more, my point is at a more gross level than what he did. See, I will say that, we generally, Swamiji has taught us about how this creation, operation, destruction, all happening together simultaneously. And that is what I tend to understand here, because many things are dropping, many new things are coming up, and everything is happening simultaneously is what I am able to feel about the pralaya. Actually, I had not talked to anyone as you had asked, but I'm able to feel the whole thing happening around me as such. See, for one thing, we tend to feel in one way we say that, okay, we are not we are not physically near anyone, so we need not bother about how we do something. But in another sense, when we go online, when we are seen by so many people across the globe at the same time, then we have to be more conscious about what we do and how we appear and how we speak. In an individual instance, we may tend to say something which we can pass off. But here now, because we are interacting online, the whole thing is seen by many people. So we have to be more conscious and we become more aware of what we are doing, how we are behaving. And that, I think, is a very important change, because more people are looking at how we are behaving. So I will say that this pralaya has made us more self-conscious, more self-aware. And that is that's really very important, because we can't pass off mistakes just like that. We can't afford to say that we have affected only one person and that person is already friends with me, and so he or she won't mind. because we are interacting more in an online platform, more people are looking at what we are doing, how we are behaving, how we look, and all these things. So we have to be more conscious. We have to be more aware of the words that we utter. And this is a very significant change, I will say.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It may look very physical. It may look very physical, but I think you get the point. Like this can be projected to something. How we project our life, how we look at life from here onwards also.
Yeah,
I wanted to share.
actually, yeah. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
the this thing I also in my experience I experienced when I was working with some of the other Adinivasis here. I was in one of the times when I was not able to finish something on time. One of them had reminded me, Maharaj, it's not about it's about the experience that you give the other person. What kind of an experience is it that you're going to leave that person? What kind of an impression about you are you going to give that person? So this is what they asked. I didn't understand it then at all. I was thinking, look, I was busy. I was not able to finish something. But the experience that I see, that's complete negligence because they were relying on me to have something done for them. But the experience I gave them was that I'm completely unreliable. So how that is the experience I get. I could have given the experience that even if I finished, that I am still reliable by doing the coming back to them and apologizing, completing, and promising that next time I'll do. But rather, next time I'll do, I understand where the mistake was. I understand I had a problem with completing it. So one of the things that I also found yesterday when I was looking through is that people had a really, because of the loneliness and having to deal with them themselves, they had really closed down on their friend circle, closed down on having, rather than looking at Facebook and thinking I have 5,000 friends, who are the actual meaningful, important people in my life? Who are the people in my life that are going to be contributing to me and who I am going to contribute, whose opinions are important to me, who depend on me to give them positive feedback and positive opinion, keep them in good spirits. So this pralaya has really opened up a deeper level of relationships between people also, to be able to understand that the people around me are more important than just a social norm. It is something deeper than that. And this is clicking with a lot of people because some people are like not with their family members, the value of that person's relationship has become deeper in their life. So yeah, as Murliya said, the way you present yourself and the way you go about showing yourself and the experience you're giving about you to others is something that many, many people are becoming more aware of, and especially myself, how if I have an inch of life negativity, just an inch of casualness in my any one statement, how that ripples across to the other members who I have in my close circle, how that ripples across and that casualness is passed on, or how that non-integrity is passed on. I can see the ripple. And this actually thanks to Swamiji and this time to sit back and see that you can see how much we are actually all one consciousness. We are all collective. We are not individual islands, as Swamiji says. We are all connected. And you can really see that in the times of Pranay, and how your just decision to stand up and show up and be there for people can really help bring that life positivity back. So yeah, thanks Murliya for that, sharing that. And yeah, it is maybe gross, but it's real. It's so real when you experience this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Sri Jnanatma, Sri Asutoshe, if you guys can share your views.
Nice that it reverberated.
Thank you.
Ashutosh Nanda.
Yes, Nithyananda. So I'll go first. Throughout the pralaya, I was in a situation where, like I was sharing a little bit yesterday, I did not engage with much people. But I can even share about the relationship with the family, the people with whom I was staying. in the house. And one of the main thing which this pralaya shed light upon is Swamiji has been, he shared a lot about building Kailasa, right? Building Kailasa and holding the space for the Vatavarana, the atmosphere, the ambience of Kailasa around you. And that's how it starts. You need to hold the space for the space to Kailasa to start to flourish and blossom. And one of the main thing was how others are a reflection of you, and how to start to build and expand to live a life which is filled of that super consciousness of Paramashiva. You have to feel responsible for people around you. But that was one of the main clicks which was gotten from here, was that initially responsibility sometimes is something which is cognized as like, oh, I have 16 responsibilities, or I have 35 responsibilities, like something which is kind of countable, as if it's like some object. But when Swamiji introduced the tattva of responsibility, he said it awakens the power of feeling responsible for everything which happens inside of you and outside of you. And so feeling responsible for the inner space that people around you carry, looking in, getting into the space of listening, and enriching, sharing whatever third eye, whatever Swamiji reveals through third eye, sharing that and working to raise the space of each and individual with whom you interact. And that's really the crucial thing, especially on this topic of how we can build a super conscious life for the future. I mean, we can do that by feeling responsible for the inner space that the people around us are holding, and sharing powerful cognitions and constantly aiming to raise the inner space of the person around you. And at whatever level, whatever it is, whatever situation it is, there's always a way to enrich to some level. And whenever, one of the experience from here was that whenever that inner space is held, when you feel responsible for others, the person in front of you feels cared about more and more. The feeling that this person has kind of a being to being connection with you is there, and that creates a very powerful space for creating beautiful things. So that was one of the main thing which happened from here during this pralaya time.
Yes, thank you. Actually, yes, when you feel responsible for those around you, as Swamiji, as Ashutosh Maharaj reminded us, it's a feeling, it's the power of feeling. And that has definitely happened in how people can expand from there. One thing that we do, an example of what we do here in Shri Kailasa and in the ecosystem here, is we know the highest expectation. The highest expectation, at least for us as Adinavasis or Kailashavasis, is living as Paramashiva. So how Swamiji has beautifully asked us in the past few satsangs back also, to see others as Paramashiva and do Vakyartha Sadhas and Vakyartha Sadhas in how we can see each other as Paramashiva, how the space, in fact, I might be not telling exactly what Swamiji asked us to do Vakyartha Sadhas on, but seeing ourselves and seeing others as Paramashiva, that is the highest. And what is the visualization of that? What is the powerful manifestation of that? And that's unique to everyone in your life. It's not going to be the same generic factory model of Paramashiva for everybody. It's not going to be like that. Maybe somebody may think like that, but that's not the way. It is everybody's in their own highest potential, in their own highest peak potential, living and expressing Paramashiva the highest way that they can in their life in that way. So actually it starts how we go about talking about it. We just go talk to the person and find out what is it that they want to manifest in their lives. Where is it that they want to get to? As we asked for ourselves, we can ask for them also, what is the experience they want to give to others about them? What is the experience that other people want? That this person should be like, I want other people to say this person is like this. I want other people to say this person like this is like this. And that's important to people. and helping people build that and hold them to that is something that I have seen, at least in the past 9 months, something that I have actively myself engaged in, just to say this is the expectation, because for here in Adi Kailasa we have different Adinasis who run the temple, and for us and for Swamiji, temple is the center, is the core of his what he does everything for almost. And when it comes to the way that the temple should be, the way the alankara should be, the way the ritual should be, the way anything should be, always beautiful thing is Swamiji always comes into the conversation. Will Swamiji accept this? Will Swamiji, how would Swamiji want this? How Swamiji would want this? How Swamiji would want this from you? How Swamiji would want this from you? This is exactly because we have the beautiful thing with us, we've had the training. And this is the ecosystem that Swamiji built. We had the training. This is the way that the Alankara should be. This is the way that top to toe, head to toe, how it should be, and how Swamiji appreciated it, and how Swamiji loved it. And we celebrate that. You celebrated that. Let's do that. Let's make him celebrate. Remembering the joy that he has when he sees deities and he sees the Alankara, let us remember that and let us do the same. And the joy that he sees when he sees, and in all the work of Shri Kailasa also, we can match this. How he sees, how he experiences a beautiful book, how he experiences a beautifully shot video, a beautifully shot or a beautifully created song, whatever it is that you manifest and make for spreading Shri Kailasa. Always Swamiji comes into the thought, and that is a beautiful experience of how the ecosystem here. And how we take responsibility here for anyone. And if we do more and more of this with everyone around us, we can really help build Shri Kailasa where we're at right now. So thank you, Stosh Maharaj, for shedding light on how we can take responsibility for all of us, all the people around us. And Shri Jnanatma, please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Maharaj. Yeah, there's a lot of different things. One of the, time is different when, after initiation with Swamiji and him creating that space in you and giving you access to completion and access to like a source of energy and rejuvenation beyond what we feel is possible. It changes like time. A lot of people, have been just sort of, sharing their disappointment of this year, and they're feeling sort of low energy levels and feeling older. And I just keep noticing the amount of times that I think or say or feel that I'm old, it almost doesn't exist. Like Swamiji has said, continuously cognize yourself as eternally 16, and every time you remember your age, you reinforce that cognition in your inner space. And so just even as Rajananda Maharaja, you've been sharing like the powerful cognitions and internalization and how Swamiji guides us and prepares us, that has been there for quite a long time now, 6 or 7 years, just constantly, even in the words we use, avoiding using negative words, even especially using the word I, because so many thoughts we have are negative. So if we're preceding our speech with the word I, what often follows is negative. I can't, I don't, I won't. And we reinforce that many times. So just those kind of simple gifts, and just recognizing simple ways to share that with people. So of course now Swamiji continuously has been supporting all of us for decades. The one experience I was going to share with the Pralaya was early around March or April, when Swamiji started giving the Paramashivoham programs in several different time zones. So it was going in, I believe, 2 or 3 time zones continuously. And so what happened was Swamiji was giving darshan maybe like 5 times per day. And after a few, like there was some difficulties would be going on, whether you're working to keep up with the routine or struggling behind. There was less time, so you had 1 hour. So you could choose, you could sleep for an hour, you could take a bath, or you could do yoga. And so most people, that's not a choice that they're faced with, but you have a choice. You can sleep for 1 hour, you can do yoga, and you can bath. And the amount of people choosing not to sleep was just an incredible breakthrough for them. They're like, I only have 1 hour. What should I do? Sleep for an hour today, or I'll do yoga. I did yoga instead of sleeping because I only had 1 hour. And so the beautiful thing I noticed after a few days of sort of running behind the schedule and finding that the patterns were just disappearing, the negativity was disappearing, is actually what it is yes, because every time you come around the corner, every time you come from a meal break, every time you come back, Swamiji is there giving you one more darshan. So you're feeling like, oh, I cannot do this, I cannot do that. Then what's happening? Swamiji is there for 1 hour, pulling you out of it. And I just realized after about a week, you know what? The only reason I'm able to even stand at all, the only reason I'm even here anymore is because Swamiji never gives up. And he gives you 1,000 times more than what you can even recognize and even utilize. But that's the only reason that personally I have been able to just even continue to benefit and redeclare the space of completion, redeclare integrity, is because he is constantly giving. And that was a big click during those days, that, you know what, he just gives and gives and gives way more than any of us can ever hold or conceive of or express or manifest. But that's what he does, and that's what he is. And so that was a beautiful teaching, that just as much as you can, give as much as you can, as much as you possibly can. That's what he does, and that's what's been sustaining, is just constantly he's there to pick you up.
Thanks, Shri and Atma. And yeah, it is always the best to look up to Swamiji as the example for how to go about utilizing our energy and utilizing our time. Because he's always there, and he's always giving it all of his time and all of his effort and all of his energy. So one question that actually came up, that is actually maybe something that we can continue on to tomorrow, is productivity. Our ability to be productive even though we're not moving around. It is something that we can actually look into, because it's a myth in the world that you have to go somewhere, you need to be around particular people, and you need to be able to work from 9 to 5, and this is the time, and this is how productivity works, and if you do this, you get this much pay, and this is how the world works. But that has been completely shattered in this lockdown period, and how productivity may actually, for sure, has gone up. And so Swamiji says, just sitting in one place, you can manifest and do so many things. Conduct your life, conduct the work and everything. And we can do look a little bit of research on how the world is actually experiencing, and maybe even go into this topic tomorrow, about how our productivity in the work that we do has jumped and has climbed up, such that we're able to finish things and have time for ourselves and have time for the other things that we want to do. And this is actually something that many people will benefit into the future, when they realize that they have the ability to create the time out of nothing, and realize that the whole world, like the whole idea of the 9 to 5 job, that you need to go and you need to do this, that whole thing has been like put down. How people are looking at that, again, we can look into that and have a sharing again tomorrow, and continue on this Vakyartha Sadhas about how the Pralay has changed our lives and how we're going to build Shri Kailasa moving forward. And another thing that Shri Jnanatma said that actually clicked with me was, yes, as soon as we get the initiations from Swamiji, time moves faster. We're able to be extremely more energetic, extremely more productive, extremely many things get done. And the amount of life, the way I understand it, is life itself. The experience of life happening inside us. This I had felt when I was in Gurukul back on like 10 years ago. I felt, and I would explain to people when we're talking about how it is to live with Swamiji, that life is just like if you see the frequency of life like a wavelength. the frequency of how you go from one mood swing to the next mood swing is like a matter of months and years outside. Whereas with Swamiji, the frequency is a matter of morning and night. Morning here in one space, next night you're out of it. Then you have to come back. Then you don't come back. You learn and you attend to it in a different way. So the frequency of life that happens to you is much, much more faster when you're here with Swamiji and Sri Kailasa. And that's something that we can definitely enrich people with and encourage them, because people are now sitting with themselves and realizing they have tremendously a lot more potential just sitting in one place and just in their productivity to be able to sit in one place and be productive, but tremendously more potential in just being alone with themselves. There's so much more to explore inside. There's so much more to see. And this is something that I think many people will be able to understand, and something that we can definitely, when we reach out to people and talk to them. So with that, we can, I wanted to thank all the panelists for today's sharing. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you all for sharing your thoughts. And I encourage all of you to have this Vakyartha Sadhas. Let it continue to the other people you meet with today. Go out of your way to talk to people. One thing that I learned, that I was thinking about today, was what some of us feel is this enlightened space with oneness with Paramashiva, and we live in one space and one ecosystem all the time, that we develop, we may not be conscious of it or unconscious of it, a holier than thou attitude. It is something that we really need to shed. We may think we don't have it, or we may not have it, but we must go out of our way to show and experience and tell ourselves that we don't have a holier than thou attitude. People outside may not be as connected or as healed as we are from whatever we have healed from the problems of the outer world. But it is better if we go out and reach to them and give them a good experience about Swamiji, a good experience about the day. And it is not something wrong to just give somebody a smile and just reach out to somebody and say hello and give them something, a powerful cognition for the day from Swamiji. It is nothing wrong, and we can definitely do it. And this is where Sri Kailasa can be built, is going out of our way and doing these small relationships. These small things are actually what will surprise you later on. Remember, you said, I had so many people come up to you. Remember, you just said that one word, you said but one thing, and I don't know, I looked at my whole life in a different way. You don't know where and how Swamiji can work through us. So the best way is to remember we are Paramashiva and go about sharing the world that they are also Paramashiva. So thank you all. Thank you to the panelists. And let us get ready today for the satsang to receive Swamiji, to receive his darshan, and to receive Paramashiva's words. So please sit straight. Inhale and exhale as deeply as possible, as slowly and intensely as possible. Let your whole being reverberate with the Mahavakya. Visualize Swamiji sitting in your Ananda Gandha. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham. Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham.
Closed is meditation, connecting with the divine. With your eyes open is darshan. Let us all now move from meditation to darshan. Slowly, very slowly. Please open your eyes.
நடக்குது அசைய மெது மெதுவா பேராஜையா மாத்துது ஆன்மீக வாழ்வு தரும் ஆனந்தமும் தேடி வர ஆகாது ஆசையற்ற தூர ஓட்டிடு ஆன்மீக வாழ்வு தரும் ஆனந்தமும் தேடி வர ஆகாது ஆசையற்ற தூர ஓட்டிடு நித்ய மந்திரமாச்சு வாழ்வின் அனந்த யந்திரமாச்சு நித்ய மந்திரமாச்சு வாழ்வின் அனந்த யந்திரமாச்சு பாடலாம் பாடலாம் கொண்டாடலாம் ஆனந்தமாய் நித்ய நவன் பாதை பாடலாம் தியானமாம் நித்ய தந்த பாதை தன்னிலே ஆட்டமுடன் பாட்டமோடு ஆனந்தமாய் கொண்டாடவே ஆன்மஞான கூடுமே வாழ்வே நித்யானந்தமாகுமே ஆன்மஞான கூடுமே வாழ்வே நித்யானந்தமாகுமே நித்யானந்த சத்குருவின் காலடியை பற்ற மற்ற எண்ணமெல்லாம் ஓடிவிடுமே அருள் கொண்ட எண்ணமோட குரு நித்ய நவன் சக்தி அது வாழ்வில் தருமே தருமே